Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out here today to this class. I want to thank the Niles Library for letting us come here and put this on. We're going to be back a few more times to do a few more Google Apps classes, and I'm going to put that schedule up here one last time for everyone. The reason we scheduled these as we did is because if you want to learn how to use the Google Apps or the Google Apps Suite in its entirety, we usually want to start everyone off with Gmail, which is the email program. Then we move on to the calendar. Then we're going to have a class on Google Docs, and then finally on Google Sites. And Google Sites is a free website creation tool that Google offers completely free of charge. So if you want to make a personal or a business website, they offer a tool for you to do that. We're also going to be at the Niles Library offering support at the e-reader days that they're going to be having. Those are going to be 4-hour time slots on Saturdays over the next 3 months or so. If you have an e-reader like a Kindle or a Nook or an iPad and you want to read books or rent books from the library, we'll be here helping out to show everyone how to get started with that so you can utilize that product to the fullest extent. We're also at the Park Ridge Library quite often. If you want to travel down to that town right next door, we do help desk support the second Saturday of every month, and what that is the second Saturday of every month we offer 3 hours of completely free tech support. So you can come in.
That's the key word, free.
Free, completely free, yeah.
Use it when it's free. Bring it up.
Exactly.
Because you can show up and find out that, here's the bill.
No, there will be no bill, completely free. We do it every single month. We're over there. And if you've come in, you have any tech questions about anything related to the classes that you attend, anything about any other kind of technology product you have, come on in. We usually have at least 2 of us on site for those mornings, and we'll answer any questions you want in that time frame. So it's a good opportunity to learn a few things and ask those questions that you might otherwise be afraid to ask. Yes?
In regard to the e-reader that's going to take place here in the Niles Library, the meeting will not be in this room, but in our larger meeting room.
Okay.
So you can bring your gadget in if you have one.
And they'll also be showing off the various
right,
gadgets as well.
We'll have some gadgets, and we'll go through a little quick run through looking at the My Media Mall or Overdrive. So, but unless, whenever, because she brought up the thing about fees, if there's ever a program that has a fee attached to it, that's always in the very first part. Fee is whatever, for materials or whatever you're doing. So almost very few programs in the public libraries have any kind of charge attached.
And the final thing I wanted to say is we will be at the Taste of Park Ridge on July 14th, which is a Saturday. So if you want to come out and see our booth then, feel free to come out and see us. We're going to have our t-shirts. So I got one of our t-shirts hanging on the chair there. We'll be giving those out to people when they come out and see us.
What are you called?
Our company is called, actually let me bring up our presentation slide here. Our company is called FireLogic. We started out as a traditional computer repair company out next door in Park Ridge, and while we still offer computer repair, it's our bread and butter service. We do a lot of training now. We do a lot of work with the libraries. We do a lot with school districts. We're sort of all over the place, and Google Apps, the Google products are a very big part of what we do in terms of education and training for people, because these products are becoming very large and a lot of people are using them these days. So we're trying to educate the public on how to get off the mindset of using the old Microsoft Office style products and how to use the new age Google style products. And we'll go through those one by one as the months go by. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Derrick. I'm the president and founder of the company. My colleague Wes over here, he's sort of been lurking in the shadows. He'll be my assistant helping out with the training today. If you look at the agenda, he's going to be covering the parts 3 and 4, the contact section, and he's going to be showing you how to use chat within Gmail as well. I'm going to start off, I'm going to show you a lot of the basics in terms of how the Gmail interface works, sending and receiving of messages, and how the storing and organizing of email works in Gmail and how that's different from most other email services that you may have used. And actually sitting over there next to Ruth is my administrative assistant, Lindsay. She's here to keep tabs on me and make sure we're doing a good job today. So, without further ado, I guess we will get started here. And everyone did grab an agenda sheet. Feel free to take notes on here if there's something that you have a question about. We will go ahead and take questions within the presentation. So if you have something small you want to ask, how to this, where is that, feel free to bring it up. At the end, we're planning on dedicating about a half hour or a little bit less to Q&A. So any questions that you may have that are a little bit longer or anything else about the other Google Apps products, feel free to save those towards the end, and we will answer anything we can to the best of our ability at that point. Okay? So let me jump into... up on the screen, just as I said, we're going to go over those 4 different parts. I'm going to take care of the first 2. Wes will take over starting with contacts, and then we plan on opening Q&A to everyone at the end. So everyone is within their Gmail right now. I presume we helped everyone that was having issues get into the product. So let me get into my Gmail as well here. Okay. So logging in, as some of us have noticed, you may have a different website to use when you're going ahead and logging into your email. Up here, you have to go through a different interface to get into your email. Some of the others in the room, if you're using just a personal Gmail account, this is what gets a lot of people confused, which is why I want to bring it up. If you're using a personal Gmail account, so anything at gmail.com, you're always going to use the www.gmail.com to log yourself in. If you're using the Google Apps interface through your work, and your work's providing it, you're going to have, as you had over here, a different place to access that account. But in terms of functionality, in terms of how the product works, that all stays the same. So I just wanted to let everyone know about those caveats. The Gmail interface might be a little bit different and might be a little scary to some people because some of us might be used to, who here uses AOL or Hotmail or Comcast email or AT&T? I know someone does. Those are the services we see when we go out to help people with their computer systems. Gmail's a little bit different. Gmail has what we believe is a little bit more of an intuitive interface to use. And as you can see on the screen here, all the traditional buttons that you expect to be there are in fairly simplistic areas, and I'll show everyone a quick overview. So the left-hand side, and if you see a few differences on the way your screen looks, that's just because of the software that you're using here at the library to access the Gmail service. When you go home to use it on a normal basis, it'll probably look as it does for us here on the screen. This is what's called the more modern interface. Some of you are getting the little bit older classic interface. But the concepts that I'm going to go over will be the same throughout the class. On the left-hand side, there is an option for you to switch between this little drop down here where it says mail. There's a little arrow next to it. That's where we're going to change over from the mail interface to get into contacts. So if you want to store an address book, a lot of people love to store family members and work colleagues and other people we know inside their address book. Gmail's changed that now. You have to drop down on that little button there to get into the contacts interface. And Wes will go over that in just a little bit. On the left-hand side, you have a compose button, and that's how we're going to make messages, and I will show you that in just a moment. Scrolling down, what straddles the left-hand side, and this should show fairly similarly for you. This entire list here, this is what Google calls the labels. we might know them as folders. When we use a Windows computer or an Apple computer, all the files we store on our computers are stored within folders. It's a very similar concept, but the way Google organizes it, they call everything labels. And that's important to remember, that it's a little bit different, because labels, the way they work, and I'm going to go into more detail on labels in just a little bit under our organization section, but labels are different because you can have email that is tagged with multiple labels. So unlike the old email systems that we may be used to, you have to have an email just within one folder, and you're going to find it in that one folder. Gmail separates everything and uses labels as if they were Post-it notes. So if you thought of all your emails in your inbox as one sheet of paper, the folder system, you'd be dumping it into one single folder. With labels, if I wanted to mark this as something that relates to my family, this could be also labeled with work. This could also be labeled with, perhaps if I had a label called Derrick, I could have multiple different labels on one email. And we'll go into that in just a little bit. But I wanted to make that clear because a lot of people ask me, are these folders? And I have to say that yes, they are in a sense, but in the most truest sense, they work a little differently. And you can make as many different labels on the left-hand side as you like. In the middle section of the screen is just where all of your emails are going to pop in, and this is the same as it is on any other email interface. You may notice that, and if you've used Gmail at all, a lot of us are truly beginners, and you don't know about this just yet, but if you have used Gmail at all for a little bit, you'll notice that email messages get bundled together if they're from the same subject. So the email systems you may be used to, every single email you send, every single email you get back from someone is separated on its own line item. Gmail makes life a little bit easier for us and considers those conversations that we have with people. And that's what email is. Email is a conversation that we're having with one person or multiple people, and they figured that why not bundle those messages together as a conversation. So when you're viewing a message, so this is a message that I sent out from this account. So this was my original message that I had sent, and this was the reply that Wes had sent to me back this morning. And as you can see, it was bundled together under this conversation view, and this is what, in the technical sense, they call threads. So Gmail calls this a message thread, and I could have 100 messages under this single thread, and that's because all those messages were related to this one particular subject. And it's nice because it keeps email a lot cleaner for us, and it doesn't give you an inbox that's flooded with 1,000 different line items, 1,000 different emails. You can keep track of what you were having a conversation with to someone very cleanly.
So they read all your email and then they look at the subject and see if all the other emails are the
They're not
same
reading
subject?
them. Google's not reading them.
Well, how are they going to find out what subject it is?
The system basically just looks at the subject line and says if it's the same subject as shown here, bundle it as another message in the thread. That's all it's doing. Nobody at Google is.
Oh, they look at just your subject line. So when they answer it, they have to write that same subject line in, otherwise they
Yes, and that's another caveat. So if someone changes a subject, if they're sending a reply, or if someone forwards it to someone else, and the subject is changed, then yes, it gets removed from that thread. So for the most part, when we're sending emails back and forth, and even for the beginners, when you start working with people in terms of email on a more consistent basis, you'll notice that you're not going to be changing around the subject line. When you're talking with someone, you're going to be having a back and forth, just as you were talking on the phone, except on the digital, right on the computer screen. And a few other things here that you might want to take note. This screen that I have here on the right side, the little chat area, this might be on your left side for your screen. I just moved it to the right, and I'm going to show that feature off a little bit later under what's called Gmail Labs, and that's where Google has all kinds of neat experimental functionality that they're testing out, and you can try out all these little cool gadgets and widgets within your email to make life perhaps easier or a little more interesting within your inbox.
Now, my chat is on the left side and covering up that list of stuff there.
Yes, and that's because that's the default way that it shows when you log in, but you can expand it if you'd like, and we can show you how to do that a little bit later. It's just they like to, by default, compact everything as closely together as possible.
If I don't have that in my version, it may be older and it wouldn't have that.
If you have that, yours might be turned off by the people who control your actual account from your work, or from your email provider or internet provider.
Yeah.
It could be them. They might have that turned off. So that's another caveat. They have the control to turn on, turn off certain functions. And we'll go over this as well in section number 2, but the search bar. One of the greatest things about Gmail is the fact that just as we all consider Google.com, well, I hope you consider Google.com as probably the most powerful search engine on the planet, they put that same power right within your email. So instead of having to go into your labels and find that message that you had perhaps sent Aunt Susie 2 years ago, you can go in and search for pretty much anything right within that search bar, and I'll almost guarantee that you'll find it 100% of the time. It's very powerful, and I'm going to show that off as soon as we get to section 2. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to show everyone what it is. If you haven't never sent a message within Gmail, how it's going to look for you. And I see some people nodding over here that indeed they are true beginners, so we'll go through this, and I'm going to show you everything that's entailed within a new message screen. Who here, and I'll skip over this if everyone knows, who here does not know the differences between sending a message and including their email within the to field, the CC field, and the BCC field? You've never used those different functionalities? So
They have them to do, but I don't know on my.
okay. So the difference is that you have 3 options for how you can send a message to someone. And the differences are, if you include them as a recipient on the to line, basically that's generally a message that is either addressed primarily to that person, or it's a message that's only going to that person. If you're using the CC line to put someone's email in, that's generally when you're using the to line to send a message to someone, but you CC another person, carbon copy someone else to get a copy of the message. So perhaps they're a secondary person that needs to know about whatever you're talking about. The most fun one is BCC, and this is considered a blind carbon copy, and this is where you can send a message to multiple different people on a BCC, and every person will not know who else got the email. Because by default, when you send an email out and you include everyone in the to field or the CC field, everyone else can see who got the message. And there are some times when you might send an email and you don't want everyone to know who else got that message. So that's where BCC comes in. It's a blind carbon, and it allows you to hide those different people that you may be emailing. Very useful in certain situations. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start filling out a basic message here. I'm going to actually send a message over to Wes, who's sitting over there, and I'm going to type in his full email. And as you see on the screen here, it started filling out his email address automatically. And the reason that happened is because I have already sent one message to Wesley through my email account. The nice part about Gmail, and other email services do this to a certain extent, but if you send a message even once to someone, their email address gets put into your address book as a frequent contact. So if you forgot who that person was you emailed 2 years ago perhaps, if you did send a message to them, their address probably still is in there. And that functionality can be turned off. If you don't like to have every single person you email get stored within your address book, you can turn that functionality off. And Wes is going to go through that when he goes over contacts. But I'm going to continue typing his email here. And if I wanted to, if I already sent the message to him and I just clicked on his name, it would fill out that email automatically. So it does get easier to send messages to people just because when you have their email already in there, you can quickly start typing parts of their name, and the email will their address will just pop in for you automatically. I'm not going to include anyone on the CC or BCC line since I'm just sending a message to him and there's no one else that needs to know about this message. The subject line. Every email needs a subject line. The subject line is basically the title of a letter, perhaps, that you may send to someone. That's the same kind of thing. It's the first thing they're going to see when they see who the message is from. They're going to see what that subject of that email message is about. So I'm going to put a subject line of, just wanted to see if you can grab lunch. If we scroll down a little bit further here, you'll see here you have an option to attach a file. So if you wanted to send an email to someone, you had some cool pictures you wanted to attach to the message, you could use this option right here to attach a few photos to that person, or a Word document, or a PDF file. Anything as long as it's reasonably sized, under 5 megabytes or less, you can generally send within an email message to anyone as long as they have an email account. And over here, as you'll see, this bar here, and I'm a little... This bar is what Google calls the formatting bar. So if you've used any kind of typing program on a computer, Apple or Windows, you should be familiar with these different options. You have options such as bolding, you can underline your text, you can change your text size, color options for background and actual text color itself. They have emoticons that you can use to add, goofiness or cool little images right within your email. You can put an attachment or a link in right within the message, and then all kinds of other more advanced formatting options there. So if you've used any kind of Word or the Apple typing products, you should be pretty at home with sending a message within Gmail.
If I don't have that, can I insert the bar?
If you don't have it, it might be because you have the more limited interface, because of the software we're using to access it here at the library. I want to just see what you... Oh, the old interface is showing. Yep, so please just follow along. If it doesn't look like this, when you use it on your home computer or any other computer, it should show that formatting bar by default. It's just that it's reverting to a little more classic interface for you.
Hers is showing that up in front of her right now?
No, she's not getting that bar.
Oh,
she's not getting it.
I mean, mine is still looking at the very first screen. It's not looking at anything here.
You have to hit compose.
Oh, did you hit the compose button to start a message? This one right here. So hit compose. And there you are. There is your formatting bar. Okay. And within here, I can just type in whatever I want that message to have. So, hey Wes, I just wanted to check on your lunch plans. Give me a call. And if that's all I wanted to put inside the message, I could go ahead and send that message off. So as you'll see, easy little send button. You can send the message off to the person. If you wanted to continue working on this email later, this is nice for emails that may be a little bit longer or you may need to continue working on at a later point in time. Gmail has a nice feature called drafts. And as you'll see, my drafts are already showing as one because I'm working on one email message that hasn't been sent. So perhaps if your computer froze on you and you're working on this long email to someone, your computer froze, you had to restart, more than likely your email message would be saved at a certain point, because I think it does an autosave about every 30 seconds or so. So you should still be okay to go back in, finish your message, and send it off to whoever you were working on it on that message for. So it's a very nice functionality. And if that does happen, once your message gets saved, you can just click on the little drafts button on the left-hand side, and it'll take you into a list of all the different email messages you haven't finished yet. I use this functionality all the time because I have long emails I send to customers. I get caught up in something I'm doing. Time runs out. I need to work on it later. I save it as a draft. I can click on it, go back in, and it's as if I never even left my room. Okay. And as I said, if I send that message out to Wes, so Wes, I'm going to send you this email message right now, okay? And if you could send me a response back. There's a few other conversations that I said that we were talking to each other on. So this email that he had sent to me over here, I had sent him a reply back, and he sent another reply to me. As you can see, we have 3 messages, and to get through those 3, all I had to do is click on one item. And if I wanted to see perhaps what the second message said in full, I can click on that, and you can expand really easily all the different messages within that thread.
So you sent it by reply. When he sent it to you, he just didn't make up a new email. He just sent reply.
Sent reply, yeah. So when that happened, when that email came in, I just used this little button over here, as you'll see, little reply button. And if you click on that little arrow, it doesn't say it right away, but if you hover over it, it does tell you reply, and it'll bring up a reply window. So same way, you type in a response, and you can send that message off, and that's considered a reply to someone, sending a reply to an email. If you wanted to perhaps forward that, some people ask me about forwarding. How do I forward a message? Same way, I would click on the little more button next to the reply, and I would use the little option that says forward. So forward goes ahead and takes that message, it'll format it, and now I can send it to someone else. So perhaps I wanted to send it to one of my other colleagues at the company because he needs to get in on the conversation, and I'm taking Wes out of the conversation. I could put in another message within here to say why I'm sending him that email, and then he would be able to see everything that we have talked about previously. So that's what we would use the forward functionality for.
That email got sent it back.
You sent it back? Okay, let's check and see here. There we are. So there's a message I sent to Wes, as we can see. Just wanted to see if you can grab lunch. I went ahead and sent the message, and he sent that reply back to me, and there's the response that I got. So again, if you're talking to 5 different people and there's 25 different emails that come in, you'll have a nice little history view of everyone that was talking in the conversation on one screen, instead of having to go back and forth into your main inbox, open the other message, close it, go back to another message. It just makes it a lot easier for you. And if you don't want to use this, if this is not the way you like working with email, that's fine. You can turn this off. There's a little setting. I'm not going to go into it right now, but there's a setting. There's a little gear icon on the right-hand side of your screen. I'll show everyone. Up on the right-hand side, there it is. Next to your name, you'll always see who's logged in right now. But there's a little, right over there on the right-hand side, there's a little gear icon, and that's where you can access all the different settings and changes that you can make for your Gmail account. Okay, I'm going to go into, I guess first off, are there any questions, any outlying concerns anyone has for anything I went over in that section? Does anyone want me to show anything one more time before we move on?
Yes, please.
Yes? What would you like to, what are you confused on?
How you send and come back to again?
How to send a message?
Yes, and we come back again.
Oh, sure. So if I wanted to send a fresh message, again, I would use this button here, the compose button,
Right.
and I would fill out the basic options that I need for any email. So the basic things you need for any message, someone to send it to. So it has to go into one of the 3 areas, the to line, the CC line, or the BCC line. You always need a subject for your email, and you always need some kind of content, something within the body, something within the actual letter of the email you're sending to someone. And as soon as you have that filled out, there's a send button that you can use to send that message off, or you can save it and work on it later for yourself. Okay?
Yes.
And when you send that message off, as I showed, the message I sent to Wesley shows up. So my message that I sent to him, and then he replied, and you can see the entire conversation we were having right on this screen now. Okay? So this will go for any messages that you send out or any messages that you receive from other people. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to go into section 2 now, if we're following along on our agenda here. Storing and organizing email in Gmail. And this is, again, one of those areas where, if we're used to using other email services, gets a little confusing if you're using Gmail for the first time. I went into this a little bit earlier, just briefly, but labels. I want to show everyone how I can mark a message with a label. So this is the equivalent of moving an email, putting an email into our traditional systems, putting it into a folder. Instead, I'm going to mark my message with a label. So I had this email up here, this first one, and I wanted to apply a label to this email. There's a little button up here on the top row of your screen that says labels, and again, it might look a little different if you're using the older interface right now in class. But if you see this little option here where it says labels, when you hover over it, you'll get all of your different labels showing up here in one area. So family, follow-up, Google, these are all just single labels that I have. This one here where it says Google/mobile, what that means is, and you can actually look on the left-hand side of the screen, mobile is a sub-label. So like we have folders within folders on our computer, a subfolder, this is a sub-label. So I made a label called mobile within Google. And you can do that, you can go, I think, as deep as you want. A sub-label of a sub-label of a sub-label. You can get as confusing as you like to get. I would probably recommend don't make any more than one level down in terms of your labels, otherwise it's just going to get too messy for you. And to be honest, labels aren't truly necessary to use for storing our email because, as I said, that search bar at the top is your key to finding any message that you've ever sent or received very quickly. But say I did want to go ahead and label this message with this particular label here, Google. I could select that. I selected Google, and as you'll see here, Google shows up right next to the subject line of my email message, right over here. So I applied the Google label, and now Google is a post-it note on this particular email message. And I could apply more labels if I wanted to. As I said, if I wanted to apply a label called follow-up or miscellaneous, I could do that as well. It just gets added in as another label. And the way that this works, say that I went ahead and I wanted to then find this message within that label. I could go on the left-hand side and look for my, say, miscellaneous label. And if you go within there, you'll see all messages will show up that have been marked with the label miscellaneous. I believe, yeah, miscellaneous is where I'm at right now. If I went into Google, I would see all messages that got labeled with the Google label. So this is, you can see how the label system allows you to apply many more different categories or post-it notes to emails as opposed to the old way of dropping something into one folder. Because I could have different kind of ways that I want to categorize all my messages, and I have the freedom to do so. And if you don't want to apply any labels to any email, you don't have to. It's your decision. Google, Gmail lets you do and work with email however you want to work with it. Yes?
Under mine, it says labels on the side, and it says underneath it mitigated, and then underneath it is edit labels.
That's probably because you only have one label in there right now. So as opposed to mine, which has all the, many more labels, you only have...
how do you say it?
Mitigated?
M-I-G, I don't know. Migrated?
Oh, migrated. That is because when your email provider moved you guys over to the Gmail service, that is all old email that came from your old system.
Oh, is that
yours is different
means?
from everyone else's. So
is that all that means?
That's all it means. It's been moved over from another system. But that is considered a label that you have.
Oh.
If I wanted to label something and not have it show up in my inbox anymore, I could go ahead into this message that I've labeled already, and I can go ahead and hit archive. So archiving is a similar process to as dropping a message into a folder, except since we've already labeled it, archiving it will now take it out of the inbox for us. So as you can see, it does show up still in our inbox. I've labeled it with what I want it to be labeled as. If I hit archive, it's gone. It's not in the inbox anymore. It's not deleted. It's just now only showing within that label that I had of miscellaneous and Google. If I wanted to search for that message as well, I could search for that message right up at the top of the search screen Actually, I'm going to go and search in just a moment. The difference between archiving and deleting a message, if you went ahead into a message such as this one, and you hit the little delete button, and this is how you would get rid of a message. So if I didn't want this whole email conversation anymore, I could go ahead and hit delete, and it would get rid of all 3 messages that are tied to what I was talking about with this person. If you wanted to just get rid of a single message, such as this one here, I could go ahead and hit the little drop down next to reply and do delete this message. And that gets rid of just that one particular response that was sent. So that's the difference between the trash can, the full delete button, and then deleting a single message within a conversation that we're having with somebody. And so that'd be useful, for example, if you had a long something that you were talking about at length with another person and they sent some message that was not even related to what you were talking about. If you wanted to get rid of that, you could use that little drop down, delete this message, and clean up the conversation that you were having. Just for sake of organization, just for sake of keeping your email clean. But you don't have to get rid of any messages if you really don't want to. And the other thing to keep in mind, if I go ahead and archive any message, so any message that I have not deleted within Gmail will always show up within this, what's also called a label. It's called all mail. And if you'll see on the left-hand side here, all mail is basically any message that has not been deleted will show up on the screen for you based upon when it was sent and received. So I'll show you. If I clicked on all mail here, I see everything in my Gmail account, no matter what kind of label I might have placed on it. So this is useful for some people that do like to pluck and find messages that maybe don't remember or don't want to do a search for it. You can click on all mail and you'll get pretty much a full dump truck's worth of every single email message that you have in your account. And the reason I show that is because other email systems, as I said, you have to go through all the different folders and find where that message was. But Google makes it nice and easy for us and lets us see everything at a glance, no matter where it may be sitting. The last thing I want to go over, and this is the more powerful aspect of Gmail, and this is what makes it a lot nicer than other services, is the fact that we can use this search bar to find anything that we want in our email account. So as long as you didn't delete that message, you should be able to find it. So I'm going to, for example, I'm going to search for that message. I sent Wes a message about going to lunch, so I'm going to, for example, just do a search for Wesley lunch. Nope, can't type today. I'm going to hit enter. And there I found that message that I was talking to him about lunch. And I can do search terms for pretty much anything. If I was looking for a message that was sent... What was that?
It says no documents matched.
This is another nice feature of Gmail. And this is actually the products that we won't get into today, Google Docs and Google Sites. When you're doing searches within your Gmail account, you're going to get search results for any documents or websites you've created within the other services. And the other services are the ones listed up here. You see where it says Documents and Sites? Those are the other parts of what's called the Google Apps Suite. We're not going to get into those today. They're totally different beasts within themselves. But say you did start using the Docs and Site service, you could search for those things right within the search bar of your email, and you'd find all the different matches for those items as well. But for the intents and purposes of this class, we're not worried about that particular search item. We're just looking for what's showing up under this area here, under Mail. And that's the one search result we got. So I did a search for Wesley lunch, and I got that message that I was talking to him about going to lunch with him. If I wanted to, for example, do a search for a message that I sent to Wesley in a particular month. So perhaps I sent Wesley a message in March. I don't know exactly what I talked about in the message. I have a fair idea. I don't know the exact date, and I forgot what the subject line was. I can do a search even as loosely as just typing Wesley March. Well, I believe you have to get a little more specific with the date. But you can do search terms where you just search in, if you can remember the particular date that the message was sent, if you can remember any word that was within that email message, you'll be able to find that message again using the search bar. Another neat way that I use the search bar a lot for my email, since I am just inundated with email on a daily basis and it's more than I can deal with sometimes, perhaps I'm looking for a message that someone had sent me with a Word document attached. This happens a lot. People use email and you have someone write a letter to you, or they're working on some kind of project for school or for work and they attach a Word document and you know you received that, but you don't know what label you put that under. You don't know if you just archived it away, didn't even label it at all. If I wanted to, and I know, even if I didn't know who it was from, I could do a search like this where I would just put in what's called a wildcard, and this is a little more advanced way to search, but very useful if you're looking for particular types of emails with attachments. If I wanted to search for an email that had a Word document, I could just do star.doc or .docx, so the different types of Word attachments that people can send. I could find, and none of them will come up right now because I don't have any messages with those attachments, but I could find any email that was sent to me with a Word file attached. Likewise, I could do a search for any kind of email that was sent to me with a picture attached to it. So I could do a search for star.jpg. That's the full extension for any kind of photo files people may send you over email. So if I had photos from my family that had pictures of my new cousin that I haven't seen before, but I know that message came in a few months back, if I did a search for star.jpg, it's not going to show anything right now. I don't have any like that. But I would find all emails with those photos inside. And you can get as crazy as you want with those kind of search terms. I could do a search for multiple different people's names. So say there was an email conversation I was having with Wesley and with Ruth and with my assistant Lindsay. I could put all of their names into the search bar, and it would find only messages that had replies or messages sent to those particular people. Go ahead.
Inbox really quick.
Oh, okay. What did you send me? You sent me... Click the drop-down box next to the search box.
There's a little arrow when you're searching for messages.
Oh, yeah. And this actually will make it easier. And I'm just so used to typing in these searches so fast without using the helper. But here, the helper makes it even easier, because if you do the, and I'll show everyone again, there's a little arrow within the search box where you can click down. And if you click on that, it'll give you this nice little, what's called a little wizard to help you out with the process. So I could put in multiple people's email addresses right within here. So if the message was from Wes, perhaps I remember the subject had something to do with lunch, or any part of the email had the words lunch. So when you do when you put something in the subject here, it's searching only the subject of all the messages. If you put it into has the words, that's saying if the word lunch shows up anywhere within any email that I've sent or received, I want to find it as long as it was sent to Wes. And I can even go ahead and do has attachments. So perhaps Wes sent, or I am looking for a message that was sent to Wes with the word lunch in it, and it had an attachment, and I can even specify a date. So perhaps a message that was only sent or received within the last week or month. And if I drop that down indeed, you'll see 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, and you can change that and use whatever option you'd like. So Gmail lets you get very powerful with how we do searches, and as I like to tell people in classes, don't get so used to working with the labels way or of finding all your messages. It's a good way to organize your email and keep them stuffed away, like all those old letters we may have gotten from someone or old postcards. Maybe put them away using labels, but anytime you're going to search for a message, I think it's a lot easier to use the search functionality, because you don't have to know much about any message that you're looking for. As long as you know 1 or 2 pieces of information, you can easily find that email for yourself.
You use the star when you in the search thing. Where did you do? Where was that?
Oh, the star is considered a more advanced way to do a search. So star is used if you're not going to use the helper.
Where did you get the star?
Oh, I do a shift and then the 8 key on your keyboard. If you do a shift 8, that creates a star for yourself.
Oh.
And a star can be used also, and this is again a more advanced search, but if you were looking for, you knew that there was some kind of long convoluted word, but the word included, part of the word included, for example, apple. If you surround that with stars on each side, it'll look for all the email messages, and it'll look for any kind of longer term that has the word apple in it, but doesn't have apple alone. So stars are wild cards that allow you to throw away anything before the term, after the term. Just look for that part apple that's in that particular term. But something like this you're not going to use as often. As I said, the most popular way to use that star functionality is when you're looking for attachments within emails. It's a very nice way to find those messages that you otherwise would have a little more difficult time finding for yourself.
Could you just show again about
This one
for
here?
archiving how you make a label for it, and if you
How to make a new label?
well, when you archive it, you said you have to make a label for it first before you archive
Well,
it.
I'll step back and say you don't have to. You can archive something. If I wanted to archive this messages, for example, this message here, and I wanted to archive it, I don't even have to apply a label to it. I could just click on archive. It'll leave my inbox, and the only place it's going to show up now is within the all mail section.
Oh, under all mail.
So some people that I know don't even care to make labels. All they do is hit archive, 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 because they know they're just going to go out and search for their messages, and they don't care about their, creating, organizing labels for themselves.
But then, how did you do it? How did you make the label for it?
Oh, to make a label.
For the archive?
If you click on the labels button and the label that you wanted to use was not already made, there's a little option that says create new, and you can make a new label for yourself on the fly. So if I wanted to make a label, for example, called Wesley, I wanted to store all messages from him in this one label, I could go ahead and type that in, create, and it would make a new label. And actually, when you create it, if you're making it for the first time, it'll actually apply that label right to the message. Because Google thinks that you're making it because you want to use that label on this email. And for example, if I wanted to make a label that was underneath Wesley, so as I said, a sub-label, I could enter the name here, and perhaps I wanted to just call this one March. So a label called March within Wesley. I could select this option then. It says nest under and choose Wesley. So it's going to be like a subfolder of the main label Wesley. And that actually applied that to this one as well. So maybe I don't want just Wesley. I want to do it under the March label. And you can go in if you want to organize and see all the different labels you have at once. If you click on the little down button here under More on the left-hand side, there's a little option that says Manage Labels. And you'll be taken into this interface where it actually shows you all the different labels you have. And to be honest with you, even things such as Sent Mail, that's considered a label within Gmail. So any messages that you send out, Google labels it with a Sent Mail label. Drafts is a label. Spam, even that is considered a label as well. So when you get spam messages, when you see this the label on the left-hand side, if this ever showed a number, anything outside of being blank, this is where all the spam is going to be held. So any messages that you probably not going to check, all that stuff for, goofy emails that you don't even need to respond to, those will show up in spam, and that's considered a label of its own as well. And some of the labels, the default labels, you don't have control over. You can't delete the spam label because you have to have a spam folder. You can't delete the trash label because you have to have a trash can. But everything that you create, you have an option to delete it, edit it, change it, move it within another label to your heart's content.
How would you move it within another label?
Oh, we're going to go into More, manage labels, and we should be able to, let's see here. If I clicked on edit here, and that's here. So this label here, Wesley, if I wanted to make that as sub-label, actually, I didn't want that to be a top-level label, I can go edit, nest under, and I perhaps maybe want that under Google. I can select Google, save, and now Wesley got moved under my Google label. Okay? As I said, you can get very advanced with this. I just use very basic labels in my email, but I see some people that have labels going very deep because they are very meticulous, organized kind of people. So it's up to you. Any other small questions about organizing email, labels, archiving, doing searches? Okay. I'm going to hand the torch over to Wesley. He's going to now go into contacts, how contacts work, our address book, and then he's going to show off how that chat functionality works within Gmail as well. So Wes, I'll let you take over.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you want the...
I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
Hello class, my name is Wesley. I'm going to go into a few other things. One thing I want to go over that Derrick did mention as far as sending a new email. I don't know how many of you get quick little images and messages, maybe a video from a family member or relative, and maybe you want to send something back to them. With Gmail, you have the ability to send attachments. When you're composing your message, I'm just going to do a quick one. Right underneath subject line, you have attached file. When you click that, it will go and search your computer for the image you're looking for. You just specify the location. And I have one little picture right here. It's a construction photo from a client of mine. And then once that file is uploaded, it's now on the Google server and ready to be sent. You can also attach additional files if you'd like, simply by clicking attach another file. And then when you're done, just go ahead and give a subject line just because Google requires it, and then go ahead and just hit
and one thing, Wes, actually, click undo really quickly. Click undo on the, oh, that's okay. That's right. When you saw the attachments, and this is what I told everyone, because this is a question I get asked a lot. When you make a new message and you're attaching files, you want to be mindful of this item here. It's a little more technical, but it shows you how much space or how large a particular attachment is. I tell people, in general, don't send a message that has attachments over 5,000 K. 5,000 K is considered 5 megabytes. I won't go into the details on that, but you want to make sure that you don't have multiple. If you're going to put in 3 pictures, you still want to make sure this total comes in under 5,000. And the reason being is that even if you're allowed to send the message out, Google might let you send out a message with 6 photos, and if they total maybe 10,000 K. Even if you're able to send out, you are not certain that the other person will be able to check that message, because a lot of older traditional email systems reject messages that have too many attachments put in. So I tell people 5,000 is the magic number. If it's under 5,000, you can send it. If this total comes out to over 5,000, be careful, because the other person might not be able to read it. If the other person's a Gmail user, they probably will be okay. But if you're sending it to someone's work account or someone's email account that you don't know, they're not using Gmail, be careful, because if it gets rejected, they're going to say, hey, where's the message you sent? You think it was sent, and indeed was sent, but their system rejected the message because it was too large for them to receive, okay?
And you know, most of the time you can actually make these images smaller with a photo editing program. This particular image is fairly huge for all intensive purposes. This is the actual size of the image. That's why it's so large a file size. So if you were to bring it down to say this size with an image editing program, you'd probably be able to send a lot more images at one time. One other feature that I'm going to go over, and this is actually in two different places. I'm actually going to log into it from Internet Explorer also. Of course, Derrick has the updated version. Derrick, is that alright if I kick your mail to the old version really quick?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see if I can get this into Classic. It's probably going to be at the bottom here. I think of an easy way to switch between them. Oh boy.
I think when you log out, if you log out, Wes, you can switch it back to Classic before you log in. Or actually, try logging in. I'm sorry. Log in again, and it probably should show at the bottom of the screen, all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
Scroll all the way down. I got an email of Wes. You're in Docs.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Oh, you were
The interfaces are so similar, it's easy to get confused. Is there an option that
I
says...
had it for a second, but it just disappeared on me. Oh boy.
Yeah,
Wow.
it might not. Oh, there we go.
Okay. There we go.
Now we can replicate what everyone sees.
Most of you are going to notice that on this side you have a contacts tab. It essentially does the same thing. I'm not going to pull mine up because this one's actually for my main FireLogic email. I just want you guys to know where it is so that while I'm talking about it you can see the differences. The library is using an older system called Internet Explorer 6 that isn't compatible with the new interface.
In this room, but perhaps upstairs at 7. Maybe
Yes.
7 on the public computers
I mean,
upstairs.
I think not, Wes, this one is 7. It's just
Okay.
Google doesn't like 7 either anymore. So you have to 8 or later.
Google usually tends to support their own browsers or any browser running what's called WebKit. It's just a JavaScript rendering engine. But for all intensive purposes, we're just going to go ahead and show you the newest interface because it's the one that you're most likely to see when you access it at home. Under Mail, what you'll see is this tab called Contacts. If you all simply click there, it'll bring up a list of manually added contacts that you've actually included yourself. By default, it will be My Contacts. Here we have 3 emails. This one's Derrick, who is our first presenter, Erica, who's also sitting in the back, and then my own. If you go to Most Contacted, however, it'll show you a list of contacts that you've recently emailed or had a correspondence with, and it'll sort of sorry about that. Okay. That's actually Lindsay in the back, not Erica. Apologies. But your most contacted, these are the ones that are going to be automatically added. So if you email someone, this will automatically show up as a correspondence so that when you have that drop-down list, it'll automatically come up as you start typing. It's a very useful feature because you can always keep track of everyone that you've messaged, and then it'll usually display them by how often you've contacted them.
Yeah, that's when I said earlier that if you send a message to any person one time even, that's going to get stored in your most contacted area. They call it, most other people consider that the frequent contacts. Google calls it most contacted. So one message to any person at any time, they will get stored in there. So even if, as I said, if you don't remember who that was or what their email is, if you know a part of their email address, you'll probably be able to fill in their email right off of your most contacted list.
Another option that you have is you can actually create contact groups. So if you have, say, a sewing club or a church group that you work with on a regular basis, you can create a group and take all their contacts and store it into one single group folder so that you can send out a mass email to all of them. In this case, we have a group already created called FireLogic and with 2 members in it. If you go ahead and create a new group, we can simply create a name for it. I'm going to name this one Bingo. And then, where did my group go?
It might take a second for it to show up.
Let me just reload it.
There
Okay.
it is.
So if you just refresh, then it comes up with Bingo for your group. And then you can actually go into the group, go ahead and right up here, you have this box with a plus and a person on it. This is a little indicator where you can add additional contacts to this group. I'll start typing in a few people. Like for example, you can directly input any sort of email address that you actually have, then go back and add details for that person. For this one, I'm just going to add Derrick because he's already in another contact. So now Derrick is in the group of Bingo. So anytime I want to send out a message to this group, I just select it in my email and go ahead and send it out to that whole entire group. So everyone that's associated with that group will receive that email, and then they can respond back to your email.
Can you quickly do a demo of that, Wes?
Yeah.
Because that's something people is really useful actually, but it's a little more intuitive just to see.
Essentially what you're going to do is you're just going to compose a message, and I'm hoping
There it is.
what you have once you start typing the name of your group is Bingo in this case, or our alternative group, which is FireLogic. You simply click it, and it'll input all the emails of everyone from that group, so everyone will receive an email at the same time.
So it makes it nice and easy. So say you want to have a group for all of your family, you want to have a group for all of your work colleagues, any kind of group, bingo group, church group. You can make those different contact groups for yourself, and instead of having to remember all 50 people that it might be in that group, you type in just the first few letters of the group name. It'll enter all the addresses automatically for you, and again, just makes life a lot easier instead of having to plug and type all those things off memory.
You just have to remember to edit your directory. You know, people move or change.
Yes. Yeah. So you
And
have
then
to.
take somebody out or add somebody in.
I'll actually show you guys how
It
to
does
do
involve
that.
a little maintenance. Yes.
If you actually go into the contacts menu, and like I said, for some of you it's located on the left on the bottom, you simply go into contacts, and then I'll remove myself. Well, I'll actually go ahead and remove Erica from this list.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
Delete contact was up there.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to delete the whole group. You simply click more and then delete contact, and now Erica is out of our group. She's excluded. She moved to Kalamazoo, and we won't be seeing her again. So that's an easy way just to remove someone from a group fairly easily.
And also, maybe you want to show everyone the import contacts feature on the left-hand side.
Oh, certainly. If
And this is useful. I'll let Wes go over it, but this is useful if you're coming from another email service and you have a large address book. A lot of people ask me, well, I have all these addresses in my address book in my old email. I can't leave that service because I need those people. All I need their addresses. Gmail makes it nice and easy, and Wes is going to show you how you can do that.
I've actually had a lot of clients I've worked with who use things like Outlook or Microsoft Exchange servers that switch over to Gmail. If you're even coming from Yahoo, you have the ability to export a contact list. There's YouTube videos available if you do have a Yahoo account and you'd like to export it. It's fairly simple to do. But once you have that file from Yahoo, all you have to do is go ahead and click the import contacts box, which is this last one here, and then you're going to hit choose file. Now Yahoo or the other system will give you a file in either what's called CSV or B card format. These are just two different file extensions that will be on the end of the address book sort of archive. So it'll have a full list of all your contacts from that other service. If you simply click Choose File, you'll just navigate to where that file is actually stored on your server or on your home PC. And then you simply select it, click Import, and then it'll upload the file, and then all your contacts will magically drop into your Gmail account, and you won't have lost anyone. It's the easiest way to move over to a Gmail server if you've been with another service for a very long time. I've helped several clients with it, and it's used quite a bit, so definitely worth showing. Trying to think, anything else we might want to cover. Does anyone have any particular questions for this subject area? Everyone's...
One thing I will bring up, if anyone starts using Gmail and you have a smartphone and you want to start using your smartphone to connect to your Gmail, you can do that. Not only can you get your email on your phone, you can also get your contacts from here onto your phone. And it's actually very useful because I actually do it myself, and the reason it's very nice is because if you had a contact on your Gmail, it'll show up on your phone. If you add it on your phone, it'll show up in your Gmail, so they talk to one another.
Something to keep in mind though with that is if you're looking for somebody in the most contacted section in your phone, they actually have to be inputted into your My Contacts or one of your other folders, or else they won't show up on your phone. Because if they were to simply import your most contacted directly into your phone, you might have contacted say 400 or 500 people over the course of the last 3 years, and all of a sudden your contacts in your phone will be inundated with about 400 people that there's a good chance you don't even know who they are, which won't do you much good.
The reason that's a nice feature, and actually a lot of people ask us about that, is because a lot of people are concerned about, say you lose your phone. If you lose your phone and that's the only place you keep your contacts, what happens to all the contacts? They're gone. You've lost them. You don't have those numbers. You don't have those emails anymore. So actually, I try to get people to use that functionality to sync their mobile phone with their Gmail, because even if they lost the phone, they still have a copy of all those contacts that they need to have: addresses, phone numbers, anything related to the most important people that you need to contact. So it's a very nice way to have that nice safe backup copy, but also to make life easier. And as I said, if you don't want to have to be editing addresses in multiple places, you set that up one time, and then you can make changes on your phone or on your computer, and the other device will always see them.
And this will work for you if you have a smartphone, essentially the iPhone, a BlackBerry, or an Android device. Anything that'll be able to sync contacts between Gmail and your phone. I know that most newer phones should be able to do it without any problem whatsoever. Anything up to about a year ago, the only exclusion are some of those older flip phones or phones that don't have Android on them. Does anyone have any other questions before I move on to Google Chat? Alright, one last option. I don't know. Who here has used AOL Instant Messenger in the past? Anyone? MSN Messenger? Well, there used to be a Relay instant messaging client built into AOL, which is, everyone knows, is like the first incarnation of the internet. If you look at Google, they've integrated something a little similar, and in this case, I'm going to go ahead and invite myself to chat. All you have to do is hover over a particular person's name, and this is something that will probably come up more likely in the newer browser. I'm not even sure is it supported in the...
Judging from what everyone's seeing, it doesn't look like they're getting chat. No.
This is really only going to work in the newer browsers just because they have better JavaScript support. Google always likes to keep everything up to date, so older versions might not have it. I do know, though, that if you go into what's called Google+, if any of you are familiar with that, you should have the chat functionality there. I'm just going to invite myself to chat here. That's the other thing. With your contacts that are listed here, you can actually click on them and it'll go directly to an email and embed the two directly into it. So you can email them really quickly just by selecting their name from the column. But I actually need to invite myself to chat. I'm going to wait for the invitation to come back. And I should be able to chat. And in this case, I'm just going to click that. And then we have this little chat box to show up. This is like any instant messenger client. If any of you have used Skype chat, any sort of chat program at all, the only thing you have to do is click in this little box and then go ahead and
What little box?
the box we brought up. Here, I'll walk you through it one more time. On your computers, you're not going to have it just because it's not supported by Internet Explorer 7. If you have Google Chrome, Firefox, or any newer version of Internet Explorer, for example, Internet Explorer 8 or 9, it will be supported. Right here we have this. We simply go to chat after hovering over the name, and then this box will show up right here automatically. I'm going to type a little message to Derrick, who's sitting.
Can you maybe do it, since they don't see it on the screen, can you do a Control-Z on the laptop and zoom in a little bit so you can just see how it looks? There we go.
Okay, that's a little.
I'm trying to go to the my John Smith account.
Is there a way to use it without the red cursor? Or no? I'm just going to Control-Z on this. What you have here on the right side, this is the chat box. I'm sorry that you guys don't have it. It's just the way the computers are set up. You most likely will have it at home. If you don't, just go ahead and do a Google search for either Google Chrome or Firefox, download and install it, and you'll have the feature. Now, all that you have to do is hover over the person's name, click chat, and then the chat box will come up. Is everyone okay with that? Alright. Once you're in the box, I just received a message from Derrick. It says, hey. I'm just going to respond back with hello. And this is a very nice way to sort of relay chat back. So if you're working on a project and you don't want to have to send out an email and somebody's online, you can have a really quick conversation with them without the hassle of going back and forth through email. There's another great advantage to this. If you have a particular chat, I'm going to search for Wesley. The search box is really useful when you're working with emails, but the other advantage of it is, if you notice here, let's see, we also have chats. Any chat conversation you have with somebody in Gmail or within Google Plus will automatically show up in the search box. So if you have a really long, thought out like presentation being planned through a chat window, you can actually search for it and it'll come up with chat with Wesley Howard, one line. So you can actually go ahead and go into there and it'll show a full relay of what was inside of that chat. For ours, it's not too complicated, just a little correspondence, and that's it.
And if you want to print that, you can print that like an email as well. Can you show everyone the print button up there, Wes?
Yes.
Upper right. Little print button. Right there. And that works for email, regular email, and for chats that are saved.
Mm-hmm. It's a really useful feature because, I mean, I know with the old AOL client, if you were to close that window, those messages are gone. There's no way to get them back. With Google, it's always saved, and you're always able to bring it back if you need it for whatever reason. Google just does the absolute best job they can to make everything searchable, so that you can always find, your information when you need it.
And if someone is concerned about that, if you're chatting with, say, one of your friends over this Google chat functionality, and you're scared of the whole privacy thing, and you don't want them saving those chat messages, there is an option that I believe should show that allows you to take it off the record, take the conversation off the record on our website. That is turned off right now, but in regular Gmail, you can do that, and that message then will not be stored within your sent or your chats category. Yes, Ruth.
I'm glad you're talking about this because chat is something that a lot of people think, I would never use that because I'm not going to need to do that kind of thing. One can be very helpful when doing something that's reasonably low tech, when you have somebody who's all of a sudden overseas. and they can have internet access with you, and while there's a little bit of a lag, you can actually have a conversation, and there's no phone bill.
You know, it's true. There's a lot of third world countries. I know a lot of you probably do use Skype. I'm sure some of you have used Skype or any sort of other video relay sort of chat. But in some third world countries, if you're out somewhere where they don't have very good internet or the internet's really slow, reverting back to a chat message through Gmail, it's a secure and fairly easy way to communicate if your cell phone isn't working, but you have access to a small cafe with really slow internet. It's just a good way to stay in communication with people.
And it also happens to have, you can call people's telephones within here. You can, if you have a headset or a webcam on your laptop at home or on your Mac computer, you can use the video chat or the voice chat functionality. Wes,
I'll do a video.
You want to try video? Okay. I was trying to log in and it was giving me some issues.
Just stick with Chrome. It should have been logged in already.
I was trying to go into the other account. That's fine. Just demonstrate just the basics of how it will work.
Did you log in or no? Did you log in really quick?
Over there?
Just log in any of them. Just so
That's not the internet's just going really slow for the wireless side. So.
Well, essentially, what you do is you simply click in here. Let me hover over this. We can do a chat, and then you have this video icon right here. You'd simply click this, and then you're in a instant video chat with the other person on the other side. And then you can have a large, you can have a pretty good video chat conversation. You can continue to use the chat window to send messages or links or other sort of content that you need them to have. And the other advantage that Google gives you is if you actually see inside of the chat window, we also have a this button, which is to add an additional person to the conversation. If you click that button, you can then actually chat with multiple people and actually do, say, for example, a group study. If you have kids in college or high school and they're working on a project, you can actually collaborate through the chat window with just a multitude of people. And then actually I do think that it does then extend into the video chat, where you could video chat with multiple people. This is actually a function that FireLogic uses a lot for our meetings, and it's a very good functionality for doing group-oriented projects.
Yeah, when I was in college a few years ago, we used to use this with projects I was working on with different students. We'd get all of us into one of these little chats. We were working on Google Docs, and we're not going over Google Docs, but if you sign up for the Google Docs class, we'll show you how to use that, and you can converse with people on the different documents you're working on, or right within the email here. So it's very neat functionality, very easy to use, and as we've said, the fact that you can store these chats and maybe go back and see what you were talking about with a person, as long as it's not off the record, makes it very useful to go ahead and see that history, or what was that person talking about, where was that train station that we were supposed to meet at. You can have those details stored within that the chat the chat feature.
The thing that you have to realize with these Google services is that today we're just going over Gmail, but all the Google services as a conglomerate of themselves just sort of interweave and just bind themselves to just create this great software suite. With Google Docs, you have the ability to share it with your friends, email documents to people. I mean, to really understand the full ability that Google gives you on the internet, there's just so much more to it. Today we're only going to cover the email aspect of it, but as you can see, as we're going through the different portions of Gmail, these services just keep popping up, and Google has just done such a good job of just interconnecting them and giving you the ability to use all these services within multiple programs. So you don't necessarily have to go into one to use the functionality of another.
And as I was talking about that search, when you can search for emails, same thing works for your stored chats. If you can just search for a term that you were talking about within that chat, just type it into the search bar and you can find that chat as well. So the search functionality extends to all of your chat messages.
That think get sent through because you're offline.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to like have a weird conversation about a particular pizza recipe, and then you were to do a search for pizza, it would come up as listed chat. So if somebody sent you a recipe via chat or through email, you'd then be able to pull up that recipe like it was nothing. You wanted to go over some of those.
Yeah, but does anyone have any questions about
Sure.
chat?
Well, the first one is the video, so you can see it, but you have to do it on type something. I mean, on your
Sorry, don't you
computer. But
describe-
then the other one is the phone, or is that the one you talk on?
With
or
the
what's
phone, we didn't really touch on it.
I mean, well, the first one though, you don't talk to the person. You just
So there's three options in any chat. You can just type chat with them, you can video chat, or you can, and this won't necessarily connect to the actual chat account. This will connect to a phone number, but you can call regular phones right off of here.
Oh, it's like just a directory is what you're saying. That's a directory that.
For people that you have as contacts, yes.
Right.
So if you have a nice contact list with all of your friends' phone numbers,
So you go in there to get the phone number, pick up your phone, and
Exactly.
Let me actually give you guys an example of it. I just added my own contact really fast. I'm going to go ahead and try calling it myself and see if we're able to get it on there.
Same thing applies to that thing with the video. You have to be a subscriber to Skype because you're saying.
well, when you have a Gmail account, you are a subscriber. Your Gmail account is your access.
You already have access.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the beautiful part.
Will that overload the? All I've got is an internet
Hello?
account. I do
Mhm.
not have minutes. Where if I go.
This does not count against your minutes. If you're calling off this to someone else's phone, they may get charged for the minute usage, but you will not.
Okay, now how about I'm downloading this? Will that take up? Because I'm only given so many per month on my computer.
It uses a very minimal amount of that pipeline. You're talking about that cap that you have on your internet?
What do they call it? Gigabytes?
Yes.
Or whatever it is. Now, if I go into that.
The only way you're going to reach that is if you're sitting on video chat all day, every day.
Yeah.
You will otherwise never reach that
No, you're
limit.
only allowed so many per month, and then you get charged.
Trust me, you will not hit that
I don't
limit.
want to get that $10,000
You will not.
What service provider do you have?
Pardon? I've got Wlodarz.
With Uverse, you're not gonna reach your cap. I just wanted to go over the chat feature for a second. There's a little bit of a lag, you can see, but essentially what this lets you do, I'm gonna hang up because it's starting to get a little annoying. What you can actually do is with the call feature that's actually built right into the program. I'm gonna zoom in here, and that's just this one. If you simply click this, it'll actually go ahead and give you the listed number. So if you're going to contacts and you add somebody's phone number, you can call them for free. So let's say that you have somebody that lives in Poland or somewhere off in Europe or who knows where. Google will call them for free.
Okay, well, I will add, the caveat to that is international calling does have a little bit of a charge attached to it. That's the one not. If you do a video chat through here, that's completely free no matter where the person is in the world. Voice calling, though, to a landline phone, say in Poland or in Brazil, somewhere else, that is carried over the traditional phone networks, and they will charge a very nominal fee. And there's a little more attached to that where you have to load in a little credit to your account to be able to make those calls. So I would just stick to calling. If you're going to call people,
Yeah, stick with video then. I was under the impression it was free.
or call people within the U.S. U.S. and Canada, always free.
I mean, if you guys have a ridiculous phone bill, this is a good way to cut down on it. The only downside is it's going to come from a Google number, so they won't be able to call you back on it, but you can call them at any time. And I'm just going to show, you just click this, it comes up with the number, you just click mobile, it'll go ahead and dial. And then your phone will ring, and you just answer. It's as straightforward as it could possibly be. So if you're on your computer has a microphone built into it, you can talk to anyone over your computer. That's actually probably one of the better features of Google Chat. It's incorporated into their new service called Google Voice, but that's a whole nother thing that I'm not going to get
That's
into.
another class we'll have to do.
Oh, geez.
Any final questions about chat or how to manage our contacts? Because there's one last thing. We have a little bit of time still before Q&A. I want to show everyone one last cool feature of Gmail that will add a little functionality to the service for you.
And this is a little more advanced, so if you, try to go through it if you feel comfortable with it. It really does add a lot of functionality.
There's one last part of Gmail, and actually all the different services that Gmail or Google offers have this functionality, and this is called Labs. So Gmail has its own Labs section, and what Labs is, and I'll show you, I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. If we click on the little gear icon on the upper right hand corner, which is our settings area, we'll get an option that says Labs. And if you go into Labs, all this is a listing of all the different experimental features that Google is considering putting into the live actual Gmail service, but they're not quite ready for prime time yet. The nice part is, though, you have an option to search through all these different cool little widgets that they are offering for testing. I will say that sometimes they don't work 100%, sometimes they have issues, and that's why they're considered a lab item. They are still experimental, they're still not ready for production, but a lot of them are very well made, and I'm actually going to go through some of them that I use on a consistent basis, and they're very useful for me, and you might want to turn them on for yourself. Let me close out the chat windows here. And as you'll see, the list of labs that they have is long. In total, this is probably about 30 to 40 items that you can turn on to add more functionality into your account. And some of the ones that I actually wanted to cover, which are probably the most useful, this one here, Google Maps previews in Mail. And all you need to do to turn any of these on is just hit this little enable button, and then there's a save at the bottom of the screen. So I can turn on all the labs if I wanted to, hit save, it'll reload my inbox, and then I have all these cool little widgets and gadgets that I can try out to make my life a little easier within Gmail. This one here, Google Maps previews, if you have an email that was sent to you and it has an address somewhere, so you're saying, hey, email your girlfriend, we're going to go to this restaurant on Friday night. If it has this lab turned on, you'll get a little preview within your email to show you exactly where that restaurant is if you've never been there. So again, nice little cool functionality that you otherwise wouldn't have. This one here, inserting images, is a lab that I use all the time. Wes had showed how to add attachments, so how to add photos as an attachment to your email. This lab, if you turn this on, allows you to put images right into the body, into the text of the email. So you can be describing something to someone and put in, say, hey, have a look at the hotel that we're going to next week, and you can use this little button that shows up in your toolbar, the image button, and it'll plop it right into the text of the email for you. So instead of someone having to go into the attachments of that message, they'll see it right away when they get that email. Very cool functionality. Gmail didn't have this for a few years. This is a lab that they're still testing out, but you can use it on a daily basis if you want to.
How do you get the images, though? Don't you?
Yeah, how do you get the image
To get the what? The image?
That you're going to put.
that you're going to put in
You'd
there?
have to either find an image on the internet for yourself, you'd have to get an image that someone else emailed you, or you can pull it off your camera. If you have a digital camera with photos,
Okay, that's wonderful.
yeah. So you have to have some kind of image that you want to give that person. In general, we're using images that we get ourselves off cameras, or images that we get from friends emailed to us, or from the internet. There's a lot of different places to get photos, and if you have questions about where to get photos like that, I can answer those when we go into Q&A in a little bit, okay?
But how do you load it into the...
When you click on this little button that will show up, and actually I'll show you really quickly here. If I'm making a new message, I'm composing a message, a little button will be added to your formatting bar. Looks like this.
Okay.
If you click on that, it's going to ask you, where do you want to pull this image from? Do you want to pull it from your
where it's
computer?
from.
You're going to
Okay.
find the file. Or you can just type in the address of the picture. So say you went to a website, you find a cool picture of a walrus, and you found, and I'm not going to show it in preview right now, but you can right click on it, and there's an option usually that says copy image URL. If you're using the Google Chrome interface, the browser Google Chrome, you can paste it in here and it'll put that image right into the email for you. I use this functionality a lot because people are always asking me about, they want to purchase new computers and they want to see, hey, what kind of computer is this that you're recommending to me? I can put the image of that computer right in there for them. They don't have to mess with attachments. They can just see exactly what I'm referring to without going to any extra spot. Makes it a little easier for the person that you're communicating with. Okay, let's go back into labs. There's a few others that I wanted to highlight in here. Here's another one. Well, right side chat. You know how our chat is on the right side here? That's actually a lab. If you turn on right side chat, that brings your chat box from the left side all the way to the right side. So for some people like myself, I don't like having chat on the left. I like it on the right. I turn that on. So all my chat messages and my chat contacts show up on the right side of the screen. Here's probably the best lab for people that tend to send emails sometimes, and then as soon as they send them, they notice, or they tell themselves, I really didn't want to send that message to that person. There's a very interesting, very great lab called Undo Send, and actually simple as turning it on, clicking Enable, and saving it. This will give you an option from anywhere from 5 seconds to 20 seconds, have a buffer, whereas if you send a message out, as soon as you send it, it's not gone right away because you have a chance to take it back. And I'll actually show you this in person. If I make a new message and I'm sending it to Wesley, just a test message, and hey, let's go out for lunch. And if I was to send this message, look at what shows up right here at the top of our screen. Undo. If I clicked on undo, it would take the message back. It wouldn't send it out to us. I do this sometimes. I send some messages out to customers that had some incorrect information, and I remembered as soon as I send it, I click on undo and it takes the message back. It doesn't send it. Actually, what it does, nope, it just went away on me. So it has you can configure the amount of time that you get right within your settings area. If you turn it on right on the main general settings, you'll get an option that says how much time do you want to have before you can, for how long you can take a message back. So it's default for 20 seconds. You can go up to half a minute for the amount of time you'll have before that message actually gets sent out. So that's probably, if you're going to turn any lab on, I would say turn on Undo Send, because trust me, you're going to send messages that you will regret later. So at least you have a chance to take that email back for yourself. And let me see if there's any other cool labs that I wanted to mention here. And there's a lot of them. Some of them are less useful than others. Some of them are just really goofy. Here's another interesting one, canned responses. Say, for example, that you send out an email message to your church group and you send a message about information about an upcoming event that you're going to have. And everyone then is sending in a response back because you didn't include where the actual event's going to be held. You can set up a canned response where it'll send off an auto reply to those particular people saying, hey, sorry about that information, that was forgotten. Here is the address that I forgot to put in the email. So you can set up any kind of canned response, as it's called, and send back email that includes the same information to many different people without having to retype that every single time. So it just makes it easier to deal with situations where you know you're going to have to be sending out the same message to many different people, many different times. You just want to automate that process a little bit for yourself. And as I said, there's a lot of other labs in here. I'm not going to go into all of them. This is some of the stuff that you can look at when you get home and play around with these. And a lot of them, some of them are more interesting, as in they put the map of the address that's within an email. Some of them are very simple, and they just make change some of the different ways the email looks, such as hide unread counts, which will basically not show you how many new messages you have in your inbox. So for people that get a lot of email, don't check it very frequently, and you feel guilty about having all those unread messages, you can turn that on so it doesn't show you how many new emails are waiting for you to be read on that Sunday morning. And then there's just a lot of others. Some of them is like your Old Snakey, I don't know, presents you with a game at certain times, and pictures in chat. People kind of connect pictures for their actual Gmail account, And if you turn this on, you can see their actual picture within the chat box instead of just seeing their name. So it just makes it a little more personalized. And all of the others are very similar. There's too many for me to go over, but you can give them a try. Here's a neat one. You can actually text message people from the chat. If you turn this on, you can send text messages right within Google Chat to someone if they have a cell phone number put into their contact field. So you can send text messages right there and talk to them. Instead of texting on your phone, you can text right within your Gmail account. So lots of cool stuff. I just like showing off the labs because for some people there are things that you may want to turn on that just makes the Gmail interface a little nicer for you or a little more workable if you're used to certain different things in a different way.
Where is it again?
Oh, labs you can get to if you go all the way on the upper right hand side of the screen next to where it shows your email address. You should see a little gear. And if you click on the gear, you'll get a little option that says labs. And it may not show. I don't know if it shows for everyone that's here right now because, again, with the internet browser issue that we're having with the old interface. But when you do get home, when you use your personal computer or most other public computers, you will get an option to go into the labs area.
I'm using Chrome and it does show up,
It
but
does
not
show.
quite that way. You click on the gear and you have to go into the settings.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for some people's accounts, and this is, again, Google's goofy thing in that there's sometimes multiple ways to get into something. This is one of those things. So for some people, it might just show right over here, labs. For some people, they might have to click on mail settings first and go into the labs. I'll show you, labs tab right at the top. And if you click on that, it'll take you to the same screen that I was showing you right off that gear.
Something to keep in mind, most of these labs, they are still in beta, so they might only function properly in Google Chrome. They might not work in other browsers, or in some cases, they just might not work properly. Usually Google does a pretty good job when they create extensions, so there's a good chance that most of them will work just fine. Yes?
What's Google Chrome?
Yeah, we should probably say that.
Google Chrome, so the piece of software that everyone's using today to view their Gmail is one way to access the internet. That's called Internet Explorer. It's the oldest way to do it. A little cumbersome. It's not as fast. Google made its own platform for getting into the internet and viewing all the websites that you may want to go to, and it's called Google Chrome. And if you want to download it for your home computer, you can just go to google.com and type in download Google Chrome. The first result, I guarantee, will be to Google's own page where you can get that software, put it on for yourself, and and I think he's going to it. As I speak, he's going to it.
Okay.
And that's how it'll look. So you click on download Google Chrome, it'll find out what computer you're using, and it'll set up the download for you so you can install it. It'll take 3 minutes to do, and your internet experience will be a lot nicer, a lot faster once you put this on.
Only because with Uverse and Yahoo, and it sounded like you have to use Yahoo.
They want you to, but you don't have to. You don't have to.
Okay, those are for free. Is Google
It's a free
Totally
download, yes.
I don't know. I knew.
Yep, it's totally free. They won't charge you a thing.
This is the absolute best browser on the internet right now. I mean,
Also, now what about for security? Like a firewall, that type of security.
that's a little different. Google Chrome, though, does have some features built into it that makes it a better browser for security. For example, when you have multiple tabs up, see how I have about 4 tabs up here?
Yes.
Each one of those, if you're running a Flash player or some sort of code in one box where you have an application, and that application crashes, it's sandboxed, sort of like a kid playing in a sandbox in that one tab. So if one tab crashes, you won't lose your information in all the other tabs you have open, just that one tab. So you close it and then you can bring it back up without having to lose anything else. Also, since they're sandboxed, if you have your banking in one window and eBay in another, if a hacker gets into your eBay account, they won't be able to see your banking. They're completely isolated from each other. Whereas if you use Internet Explorer can see every cookie, every single thing that's in your browser. With Chrome, it's just way better security.
I don't know.
And if you're scared, if you're a new internet user, it sounds like you guys are new to the internet,
Yes.
I would recommend getting Google Chrome because it will be a lot safer experience. And new internet users tend to be a little more prone to getting the things called viruses and all that malware that's out there.
Yes.
This will
This will
not
protect
guarantee. It will not guarantee you won't get it, but it'll make you reduce the chances that you will.
Minimize it. Do I need to go out and buy something and load it into my system besides?
This alone is not going to protect you 100%. And I would say talk to one of us afterwards. We'll give you a recommendation on what to do for that regard. But for just basic internet browsing, this is the safest way to view the internet today.
Okay.
This is what we ourselves use on a daily basis. It is the
That's
nicest platform.
primarily what the laptop is for. It's for internet.
Yeah.
That's what computers are for these days. Yeah, we don't.
Just the internet. No business, just internet.
I mean, people still use it for business.
Okay, ordering things.
Ordering things, yeah. But the internet is about 90% of what we do today.
But if you're going to be buying things online, or if you're going to be doing any sort of personal banking, going with Google Chrome, it's a safe bet. It's not going to completely protect you, but it'll protect you more than anything else out there.
And then the secondary protection is the site that you're going, correct?
Yeah, you want to
And if it's got the
like, for example, if you were to say, you have the Chase website, and we're sort of going off topic, we're going to try to get
I'm
back
sorry.
on. Oh, it's fine. If you go to chasebank.com, let's say that, for example, and I wouldn't be surprised if you were to say forget the E. I'm not going to pull it up because there is a chance of something inappropriate coming up. If you were to mistype the URL, there's a chance it could go to another page that looks just like this one. It could look completely identical, but once you log in, it'll redirect you to the site and steal your password, and you'll have had no idea it happened. So when you're typing in your URL, always make sure it's the correct site. I mean, there's no way to really protect yourself from that other than just to be vigilant and make sure that you're, doing it correctly.
How again did you get to download the Chase?
It's not a download. I just went to chase.com. It's just the internet address. chase.com. And I do all my personal banking online.
Could I put Chrome on if I'm not getting it in like regular Gmail? I have it through a provider, the Gmail.
If you have a third party that you're working through, Chrome is just an internet browser. It's not dependent on who your service provider is or what email company you're working with. If you have Chrome, you'd install Chrome and go to the site that you log into just as if you would before. It's just that the program's safer than the internet.
So you don't have to do anything.
Nothing different. It's just a different browser.
How do you get to Chrome?
You go to Google. So if you just go to google.com, if you just go to google.com and then just type in Chrome, and then just hit enter, or it'll come up automatically.
Looks like the first two links you'll see should take you there.
I mean, there's a couple of them. There's one. Here's one. I mean, they're going to make sure that they get you to their own product. That's for sure. But it's a free download. It's a great service. I personally prefer it over everything else.
And this works. And again, this works on Apple's as well as Windows machines. So no matter what you're using.
Also on Linux. I doubt any of you are running Linux, but Android devices also have Chrome. You can download them if you have an Android phone. I don't think there's an iPhone version. If anyone in here does have an iPhone, it actually Safari runs on the same back end as Chrome, so you'll get pretty much the same performance.
Could I do it in the library? Put Chrome on through?
I
have
don't
to do
recommend putting Chrome onto the library machines. They have their
I mean,
own.
through your own Gmail. It won't work that way through the
It's
library.
not associated with your Gmail account.
Right.
What Chrome is a platform for
Right.
viewing the internet.
Yeah.
It has almost, I'm not going to say no integration with your internet, but it's sort of, your internet, you can, okay, let me explain this as clearly as I can. With your Gmail, you can browse it in any internet browser. Chrome is simply an internet browser for viewing web pages. So if you go into Chrome, you'd access your email the exact same way, and it wouldn't really.
But I mean, I can't put Chrome on while I'm here.
No.
You have to do it at home. Well, if I have my one at home where it's what do you call it? The phone type. It's not through cable.
That's fine. It won't be a
it's still-
difference.
Would it? Because it, you know,
You have
does it take
is it
longer?
AT&T?
Yeah.
Okay, same thing.
Well, I mean that's the phone line. It's just through the
Yeah,
phone line.
you have the same thing. You just go to Google, download.
Because I know they say the phone line ones, it takes too long. It doesn't always
It's
work.
a really small download.
Okay.
The actual file size for Google Chrome. Let me just take a look here.
Okay, if it's a small one, yeah, because I know they say that.
It's quite small. I mean, it might take, it's going to take a little bit longer than a connection here at the library, but I would say no more than about 10-15 minutes down.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
It won't take long at all.
Because I couldn't do another bigger one, like if I wanted to do.
Like Firefox would
Yeah.
probably be a little too large for you.
Yeah, Firefox tends to.
I can't do that through the phone line. Yeah.
They used to be the best, but they just started getting really big. I think Chrome's like 58 megabytes. It might take.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know how
10 to
if it would
15
work
minutes
on the
to
phone
download.
line. Then yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anybody? Yes. Anything?
Well, mine is a special thing. I'm through my provider on my Gmail.
Yeah, well, just for logging in. But other than that, everything should be the same once you get into the system. All the other functions.
No, I mean I just have a question that's through my.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, Wes can answer
I don't.
that.
Yeah.
What can I help you with?
Again, how do you get to
Okay.
Chrome?
Oh, yeah. Let me actually show
Okay.
you.
Like when if I receive an email and I want to send it out to people, let's see. Where's this?
If anyone has any other questions, just give me one moment, and I'll just show how to get to Chrome. We're going to open a new tab.
And I get something like from somebody else that I send out. Okay, like say this.
Yeah, I'm just going to type in here. How do you use Chrome?
Let's see. I have where it says 2. That means I don't know. There's one
It's
that.
two. It's from who you're sending it to.
Yep, there's the button. Right there. Click on that.
I'm just going to show you the simple way.
See, okay, it shows. Okay, see it,
Start putting it
and
on
then
for us.
Oh,
when I go to
should
my,
put-
We'll put it on for you, okay?
just click there.
yeah, I've done that.
And
But then it
Does
shows
anyone else
it's
have
temporary
any-
there. It doesn't show if I have pictures. It
Any
doesn't.
questions
Oh,
for me
that
about
won't
anything?
show up in
Takes
the
it
set. It just doesn't
Hopefully
show
we
But it
up.
got
won't
something
show up
out
in
of
the
this.
email.
I would hope that
No, it's
now we can use
not,
Gmail. We can use Gmail a little
Yeah, that's
better.
normal.
Yes, we
Well,
got
this
that.
one, okay. This time it shows.
And just like anything,
Anything-
Now
any
in my-
computer
okay,
software you
which
start
one is
working
this?
with,
All you have to do is
you
hit
have
show,
to use
put
it a little
text,
bit
and
to
it'll
get
show up.
acquainted, and then you'll start to get more
Which
questions,
state
and then you can
in my email.
ask
it shows
others that
it's
use the
different.
service to answer them, or you can. We
time?
come down to the Park Ridge Library if you want to come to our open
Can you
help desk.
actually
We'll
click
answer
here?
questions over there as well. So it's a learning
Okay.
process. You
Am I
use
on
it, you get some
No,
questions,
never
you
mind.
figure them
We
out,
can't do
you
that.
continue
Yeah,
to
we
learn
can't do it
more.
in library.
It's sort of a gradual
Okay,
process
let me go
going
to
up the
my
mountain.
inbox.
Once you
Okay,
learn it,
September.
you're going to be using it on a consistent basis, and then you'll be a
let's see.
Gmail expert.
To go to that email one. Let's see. Where would be a fast way to go up here? How did you do that? We go. Let's see. Oh, I forgot.
Well,
what it was.
if you're coming to the help desk session, you have to look at
That
the calendar,
email
couple
I
of the
had
days
to
that
show
are
you
at the
it
help
doesn't
desk.
show the
They don't just
pictures.
offer
Once I
walk-ins
send it,
anytime. You'd have to come to one of the
then
help
it
desks.
doesn't give me back my original email.
It won't show up in your inbox. Any messages you sent will always be in the sent folder.
No, it'll still be in
It should
my.
not be. Well,
It'll
you-
show the sent one.
If you
I
have
don't want
questions,
the
that's why we
sent one
always
in
like
my
to
inbox.
set the
Yeah, it won't be in your
I
inbox.
want my. I can't make it so it'll show my original one. In the,
Like
the
where you
one.
received
Because see,
it
I
from
used to have a
someone?
different type.
Let me give you an example. Also,
Well, okay, so what I meant is okay, in the email, but then once I sent it as an email, and then in my inbox,
Well, yeah, a lot of
like
things in
numbers
Gmail
back,
can be used then when you get home.
yeah, and then
Email
it'll
with your
just show
friends and
what I
talking to
sent,
people.
what I sent, and it'll show in the HTML or something, and it
yeah,
won't.
that's normal. It's because
Because see, another time I had when I didn't have Gmail, I had some other one, Firefox. It didn't do it that way. It gave me my original email.
well, it really does depend on what they're sending you. If they're sending you something in HTML, it won't load by default, just because that's the way it works. It would take
Well, I
us-
get it, Greg. I mean,
Remember
when
that all
I
the dates
originally
that are
downloaded it, doesn't like it looks okay.
Okay, that's normal.
But then I'm getting it back with the other the things in the email after I sent it.
The only thing you have to do is if it's HTML, it can get messed up very easily. That's normal, and there's really no way to fix that. But if someone's sending you an image, all you have to do is go into the sent folder and hit show coded text, and it'll all show.
Any other? If you want to learn the rest of the Google Apps, the Docs, Calendar, and Sites,
Someone
check.
didn't.
We're going to be having those
HTML
classes right in the
tends to
same
get
room
filtered out
over the next
breaks.
3-month period. So feel free to come back and learn
It might be the
everything
person
else
that's
there is to
sending
learn
it
about
back to
using
you.
the Google
It could be that as well.
App Suite.
And unless I get
these are
a
some-
message from our IT staff that I can't do this, I'll just put Chrome on the desktop of each one of these computers.
So there's no
you
way
just
I can
click
get
on the
my
Chrome
original.
icon, and
If when I
it
send,
displays
once I
the
send to
look
somebody,
like what you're
I sometimes I lose.
And one more thing, on the back of the
Sure what you're
agenda,
asking, but
I
put
want my
the
original
link.
way
There's a
it
link
looked
that
when
shows
I
on there.
received
We're
the
asking
email.
for feedback.
After
So
I
if you have
send
any
it to
good things
somebody,
to
and then
say,
I get it, I
hopefully,
want to decide
any
I
bad
want to
things
send
you
to
want to say
somebody
about
else.
today's training, we'd love to
It
hear
doesn't
about
look-
it.
I
It's a
can't
very
get it.
simple.
Okay.
The link's right in blue on the back of the agenda.
Well, let's see.
It'll take you 2 minutes to fill
Well, here's
out. You
one
click
where I
submit,
sent
and we'll be able
Well,
to
I'm trying to bring 'em up,
hopefully
and
improve
it's
our classes
crashing right
down the
now.
road and cover and also
In
implement
my-
the kind of things that everyone wants to see. So
here's
please
all
tell
the
us
images
what you
you
liked
sent
and what you didn't
that
like.
was sent.
All right.
They're all
Yeah.
coming up.
And if you need, if anyone
Yeah,
needs any
here.
technical support at
now,
home
if
from
I
us,
wanna
we do
send
offer
these to someone
services
else,
of that
I can't
nature.
go
You can grab
to
one of
my-
our
Oh,
cards.
I know
We have
what you're
flyers
trying
on
to
the
do.
back too. We offer
So-
10% off
Even I can't
for anyone that grabs
send
the
those
flyers. So
pictures
if you
to
need
somebody
support,
else once
feel
I
free to
send
give
it.
us a call.
Yes, you can. I'll
Unless
show
I-
you how.
Email account?
Unless I go to the sent one and have to.
No, it's
have to
actually
send-
easy.
Oh, for me?
All you're going to do.
Okay.
Sign in and it's my
Well,
email.
this is how you're going to get back into the account that you made. The account that you made here.
The internet right now
So
is
your
just running
account
really
is-
slow. Something's
Did you write down what the
someone's using all the internet.
We have it written down here.
What you're
Is
gonna
this on
do?
here?
Yeah.
So that is how you get back into your email username.
I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to do this. Reply. You see here where it says forward.
Now this
Would
is
be
your
this
internet.
upper part.